Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Game Things. I'm your host for the week, Ming, and we'll start our episode by covering a rather beloved franchise, The Witcher. So at this point of time, you have probably heard of The Witcher already, either through the books, the Netflix TV series, the games, or through the equally popular Gwent. So CD Projekt Red has announced that they will be remaking the first Witcher game, and the game will be built from scratch in Unreal Engine 5. So yeah, massive graphical updates for this 15-year-old game. Of course, aside from the graphical updates, it also serves as a method for more players to get into the franchise, seeing as how successful the TV series was. I'm quite sure that a ton of people are interested in the game but got put off due to olden day graphics because, all you people that have watched the TV series, you guys will definitely be interested in the game as well. While we have no confirmation on a release date or on which platforms the game will be released on, it is still exciting news for all the fans of the Witcher series, so I highly suggest for you guys to subscribe to Game Things so you don't miss out on any critical info that might be announced in the near future. Next, we'll talk about a really great looking title that will be releasing next year, and the title in question is WoLong Fallen Dynasty. So if you have never ever heard of this title, it's effectively a Souls-like game but based more on Chinese aspects. I personally think this game is a bit more challenging than your generic Souls-like game. The reason for this is because this game is way more punishing compared to some other titles out there because of a morale system that the game has. Now, you might be wondering, how exactly does this morale system work, and what makes it special? Effectively, every time you die to an enemy, the enemy will gain a morale level, making the enemy stronger. So yeah, the more you die to the same enemy, the tougher the enemy gets. But of course, similarly, if you kill enemies, you gain morale levels, so that kind of balances out the game in terms of difficulty. Now, if you are interested in the game, then make sure to mark down your calendars as the game will be out next year on the 3rd of March. And if you're worried about the game not having a good runtime, then don't worry, as the devs have announced that there will be a season pass that includes 3 DLCs that are available for purchase separately. The first DLC has already been confirmed to have new officers, new weapons, and new demons, so players that really like the game can look forward to all these things in the future. That's all the major news that we have this week. Next, let's move on to our Flash News segment, starting off with some exciting news on potential games that are coming in the near future. First, we have news that Naughty Dog, the developers of Last of Us and Uncharted, are working together with a couple of other PlayStation studios to develop a new title for a beloved franchise. As of now, there is no confirmation of what franchise it would be, but rumor has it is that the franchise in question might just be Uncharted, as it's been quite some time since we last seen an Uncharted game. So for fans of the Uncharted series, you guys can start feeling a little excited about this project, but don't put your hopes up too high, otherwise you guys might be disappointed. Other than Naughty Dog, we also have news that EA and Marvel struck a 3-game deal that includes an Iron Man game as well as 2 other unannounced titles. This is actually pretty exciting news because while we all know EA is an extremely greedy company, some of the games under them are actually really well made. And hopefully, with the partnership with Marvel, EA will be able to control their greed and perhaps finally create a great Marvel game that might not end up like the Avengers game by Square Enix. Speaking of Marvel, our next piece of news is about the upcoming Marvel tactical RPG, Marvel's Midnight Sun. The game is currently planned to be released on the 2nd of December and will feature a huge roster of characters including Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Wolverine, Captain Marvel, and many more. Even though the game is not out yet, there is already post-launch DLC content planned for the game, and the DLC will contain some popular characters including Storm, Deadpool, Venom, and most importantly, the one and only Morbius. If you know, you know, you know? Anyways, that's more or less the news that we have on the upcoming Marvel Midnight Sun. If you are interested in finding out more about the game, you guys can check out our previous videos where we covered the game in much more detail. If tactical RPGs aren't your type of game and you prefer more high-octane action, then the next title releasing on November 22nd might just be your cup of tea, as it is just pure action from start to finish, and the title's name is Evil West. Evil West is about a vampire hunter that is trying to rescue the Wild West from being devoured by dark supernatural forces. The game itself is really action-packed and a lot like Doom Eternal, just that instead of a first-person perspective, you are playing from a third-person's perspective. Of course, as a vampire hunter, you have a large variety of weapons in your disposal, and more impressively, each weapon and tool has their own unique skill tree, leaving for a ton of different playstyles. All in all, the game actually looks pretty darn great, and it will be available on PS4, PS5, Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, as well as on PC. So be sure to look forward to it if you're interested in a hardcore action game. Our last flash news of the week is on Hitman 3. Hitman 3 has recently revealed footage of their upcoming roguelike mode called Freelancer. And I have to admit, this new Freelancer mode looks very impressive. How it works is somewhat similar to most other roguelikes out there. You have to clear a couple of missions before you take down a boss. Each run contains multiple bosses, and each time you take down one boss, the overall difficulty gets harder and harder. Like most other roguelikes, failing a stage can be rather devastating, but fortunately for Hitman 3 Freelancer, it's fine to fail a mission, just that you will lose all your weapons that you have brought into the mission, as well as half of your total money, plus all of the enemies in future stages will be alerted. So yes, things get a lot tougher, but at the very least, your run is not ended immediately if you fail a mission. However, if you fail at a boss level, the run is effectively over and you have to start all over again, so be sure to be very careful when you take on a boss stage. All in all, if you are a Hitman fan, then you should be excited for this upcoming roguelike mode, as it effectively makes Hitman 3 feel like an entirely new game, and you definitely will not regret it if you start playing it. Unfortunately, that's all the good news we have for this week. Next, we are going to be talking about some rather unfortunate news, starting off with the Japanese version of Callisto's Protocol. Callisto's Protocol will not be releasing in Japan for now, as it unfortunately did not pass the Japanese version of the ESRB rating. So fans of the title in Japan, you guys are going to have to wait for a little longer before this game is released. The other piece of unfortunate news that we have is on Warframe. The upcoming Duviri Paradox expansion has unfortunately been delayed to 2023. So fans of Warframe, you guys are going to have to bear with the content drought a little longer. Moving on from the bad news, let's talk about some games that you can enjoy right now. Starting off with Harvestella, available on the Switch and PC. So Harvestella is a JRPG with some Sims-like aspect to it. Of course, since it's a combination of two genres, then don't expect extremely complicated mechanics from both of those genres. The game itself is rather stunning and has a beautiful score, which is to be expected nowadays from most JRPGs. And in terms of the gameplay mechanics, is really straightforward. Farming has been made to be much simpler, and combat is, well, just like most other genre RPGs, you have, well, classes, but it just doesn't have like really complicated mechanic. However, one of the more interesting features that the game has is a stamina system. So this stamina system is actually rather important, because when it comes to farming and combat, both of these actions actually require stamina. And the main way for you to acquire stamina is if your character is well fed, you automatically regain stamina. And don't forget, if you don't have any stamina at all, you can't even farm, so you might be in some situations where you have zero food, no way to farm, and, well, you basically can't do anything at all. So yeah, while this mechanic is interesting, it can be pretty annoying at certain times. But it's not really a game-breaking thing, you can kind of just learn it as you go. So I don't see it being a really huge showstopper, but if this type of thing really annoys you, then you might want to steer away from this game. The next title that is releasing this week is Entropy Center. Now, this game is actually really cool. To put it simply, it's basically like Portal 2, where you solve puzzles and progress through various areas. The main difference is that instead of using a portal gun to solve puzzles, you are using a talking entropy gun that can reverse the flow of time to solve puzzles. The concept itself, while simple, is actually really freaking cool and brilliant. Plus, seeing certain objects move in reverse due to time going backwards is pretty darn cool. I actually really highly suggest checking this game out even if you don't like puzzle games, as it really looks like it will be a very good and unique experience. The game will be available on PS5, PS4, Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One and PC, so be sure to not miss out on this title. The last and final title we have this week is Endling Extinction is Forever, available now on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. Endling Extinction is Forever is a side-scrolling survival game that tells the tale of the last mother fox on Earth caring for her cubs and preventing the extinction of her kind. The game is a rather interesting game that explores survival from an animal's perspective and really provides a unique experience, as we are able to see just how tough it is for a cub to survive in the wild without the care of its mother. If you are looking for a unique experience that isn't mind-blowing but more immersive and emotional, then maybe give this title a shot. That's pretty much it for our releases this week. Now let's move on to our most anticipated segment, Free Things. This week, Epic Games Store is giving out a couple of games, including Filament, as well as Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. For PS Plus subscribers on the PS4, you guys will be getting Neo 2, Heavenly Bodies, as well as LEGO Harry Potter collection. For those of you that have PS Plus on the PS5, you guys will be getting Neo 2, as well as Heavenly Bodies. Now, for you Xbox Games with Gold subscribers, you guys will be getting Praetorians HD Remastered, as well as Dead End Job. Lastly, for Prime Gaming subscribers, you guys will be getting Fallout New Vegas Ultimate Edition, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Facility 47, WRC9, Etherborn, Whispering Willows, and last but not least, Last Day of June. And that, folks, marks the end of our episode. Once again, I was the host for the week, Ming. Thank you so much for your time and support, and we will see you guys next week in another episode of Game Things.